Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to the Cuphead show, episode 4. So, as has been made very clear, I've been very mixed on this series so far, which is not what I was expecting or hoping, because, as I kind of made clear, in a way, the poll series slot is supposed to be like, you know, I choose shows to put on the poll that I think I'm going to like, that I kind of expect to enjoy. Shows that seem like they're right up my alley. But, as I always say, it's kind of impossible to know with me. There are shows you would think I would like that I don't, and there are shows that you don't think I would like that I do. And the same goes for movies and games and so on and so forth. And so it's just kind of impossible to guess if I'm going to like something or not. But the problem with the Cuphead show is that it's so inconsistent. At least based off of the first 3 episodes. The first episode was really damn good. Like, even going back and having watched it again, it's like, it really captures the spirit of not just the game, but the overall style that even the game is based off of. Old Fleischer cartoons and all. Rubber hose animation and everything. While the animation isn't, you know, exactly what you would necessarily want. It's not like complete rubber hose. It's not like complete, like, old style. Which, admittedly, I do think would have been really cool to see, like a Cuphead show animated in, like, the classic style. Like, even have it be black and white. That would be really cool. But even despite that, it's like the first episode still got so much about it right. Episode 2 then ended up being terrible. It was super generic. It recycled plot points that we've seen a million times before and didn't even do them well. And it felt completely pointless. The episode didn't advance anything. It didn't tell us anything we didn't already know. Like, literally everything in the episode was pointless. The only thing that the episode seemed to be trying to do was to explain to us that, these are brothers and they act like brothers. And it's like, we got that from the first episode. We don't need you to emphasize that here. It just comes across as redundant, and again, it's not even entertaining. The entire thing with the overly destructive baby that the two are trying to take care of, it's like, again, it's been done to death in other things for a good amount of animation's history. At least here in the West. This isn't a new concept. And again, they don't do anything with it to make it interesting. And then you had episode 3, which was just kind of meh for me. It was mid. Nothing about it was, like, as bad as episode 2, but there was also nothing that was as good as episode 1. And it seemed to, again, reiterate the entire brothers thing to a less annoying degree. But it did, again. And while it at least felt a little closer to the first episode, it still wasn't enough. And so I'm very mixed on this series, because I know the quality it can produce from the first episode. And I know that with 12 episodes, even with their short length, it's like there's going to be some stuff that maybe won't entirely progress the plot. But at the same time, it's like, it's just undeniable to me that literally every issue I've had with the second and third episode would have been solved if the devil was pulling the strings behind them. If the devil had either sent the baby in the second episode or was the baby, that would have literally solved the entire problem, because it would have tied it to the main story and actually made it feel like it had a purpose. It would have even excused the fact that it was something super generic and overdone, because it's like there would be a point to it. And then you have episode 3, and it's like I said there, it's like, oh, if it was revealed that this was all like, if the devil had like paid Ribby and Croaks off, or if like this was all set up by the devil or something, something like that, it's like that would again have fixed my issues with it. It would have connected it. But the series seems to have forgotten the devil even exists. He hasn't been mentioned at all since the first episode. And the problem is, that was kind of the main plot point. The fact that Cuphead now owes the devil his soul. That's kind of the point. And yet episodes 2 and 3 just ignore it completely. And it's disappointing. It's really disappointing that it's not even mentioned. Now, this episode 4, could bring that up again. Episode 5 might bring it up. Hell, every episode from here on out could still bring it up, but that wouldn't hide the fact that it just kind of disappeared as a plot point for a couple episodes. It's something that, just personally, I don't like when shows do. If you're going to introduce something that big and that important, follow through. Even with just mentions. You don't have to like follow through on everything right away. But don't just ignore that it happened. Because that could be easily solved with like Mugman like questioning Cuphead in episode 2 or something. It's like, shouldn't even just making a joke out of it, shouldn't we be like focusing on this? You still owe the devil your soul. And then Cuphead just kind of waves it off and just, Mugman's just like shrugs like, oh well, I tried. And then it just continues on with the story of the episode. That would have been fine. That would have been a good way to do it. If you wanted to just push it off for a little bit. It would have still at least acknowledged it. Because again, it's kind of the main point. It's kind of the main plot point that they set up. To just ignore it at this point is just kind of ridiculous. It'd be like Steven Universe setting up that Steven has gem powers and then never bringing it up again for like episodes on end. I don't know, this is just a random example. I not like saying any specific things from the series or anything, but just as an example. Or bringing up, I don't know, I'm trying to think of examples I could use. Or let's say like One Piece started off with the first episode showing that Luffy has his Gum Gum powers, right? But then after that, let's say for multiple episodes, Luffy fights completely without using them. Not a single use of it, and no mention of the fact that he has those powers either. That would feel completely out of place, would it not? That would feel completely out of place, and it would feel weird, and it would be like, wait, you just showed in the first episode that he could do this. And I know that's like comparing like power sets and everything to just a plot point. But still, it's the same basic idea. You're introducing something that is a major factor for the series. That is a massive deal and needs to continuously be addressed because of, you know, its importance. And then to just kind of ignore it for a couple episodes, it feels like you're purposefully, like, backtracking in a way. Like, I feel like it would have made more sense if they did these episodes first and then had the episode with the devil afterwards. That's just the kind of, like, tone and style I get from it. It feels like if you're going to introduce the devil and everything, the main villain, and have it so that Cuphead owes him his soul, it's like you don't just ignore that for episodes on end. I know, I'm rambling and everything, but it's just, it bothers me. And I don't even know, like, I mentioned in the first episode reaction and everything that there are people who had issues with this series and everything, and that it got very mixed responses because of that. I don't know if this is one of the issues people had. I don't know. I don't know what issues they had, but it's genuinely bothering me. And for this to be a poll series that you guys voted on, that bothers me even more because of that. Because it's like, you guys voted for me to react to this. And I put it on the poll because I figured I would like it, because I expected to like it. That's, again, what I'm trying to do with these poll shows. Putting on shows that I kind of expect, or at least strongly believe I'll like. So to get completely disappointed like this, it's just, well, it's disappointing. It's annoying. And I don't like it. So, yeah. For now, we're going to continue giving it a chance. But I think I'm going to give it until the halfway mark. By episode 6, basically. Because it's 12 episodes long. If by episode 6 it doesn't pick up and start addressing the important stuff again, or at least starts to be entertaining again. If it starts to be just really entertaining and fun and everything to where I'm not as even upset about it kind of losing the plot, if it at least does that much, I'll be fine. But it needs to do that, and I think by the halfway point is important. Because it's like, I feel like at that point a series really needs to have its way figured out. And so far, I'm just not getting that from this series. So far. Things could change, and I hope they do. So, we'll see. We shall see. But we're just going to get this started, hope for the best, and see what episode 4 has in store for us. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, the reason I decided to do a second episode in there is actually a couple reasons that I kind of thought about while I was watching the first episode, episode 4. First off, these episodes are short. They're about 10 minutes or so each. They're half length, basically. And I figured I could probably get away with watching multiple episodes in one go. So that was kind of my first thought. Like, okay, I can do multiple episodes at once. That's not a big deal. My second thought was, I just want to see if, like, maybe the next episode will be good. Because if I'm being honest, I was not a fan of episode 4. It was just like episode 3 in the fact that it wasn't bad necessarily, but it wasn't really good either. I'd put it as just above episode 3, though. It was a little better than episode 3. But I still wouldn't call it that good. And I'm glad that I did decide to watch another. And from here on out, we will watch multiple episodes at once. Because Because episode 5 turned things around, and I just really hope it doesn't go back to the random bullshit again. Because it's like, episodes 2, 3, and 4, I didn't like. The only episodes I've liked so far are the ones that actually have focused on the plot. And it's not just the fact that the 3 episodes in the middle of these two, it's not just the fact that they didn't focus on the plot. That's not the only reason I didn't like them. They just weren't that entertaining. Like, episode 4 was clearly the most so, but it still just comparatively just wasn't as entertaining to me. Episode 2 was actively, like, annoying. Episode 3 and 4, like, had some good points to them, but just didn't do enough to really get me into them. But episodes 1 and 5, both, just the jokes were funnier, the situations and scenarios were better, and yes, plot focused. But again, it's not even just the plot. It's just everything else just felt so much better. And I don't know if, like, that's just the people who work on the show, the crew and everything, putting more effort into them. I don't know if the writers are just putting more effort, the animators, etc. But they just feel like they're higher quality in like every way. Maybe that's just me. But let's talk about these 2 episodes. So the first episode was the handle one, and this one, again, it was better than episode 3. It was definitely more on the right track for me, but it still wasn't that great. Basically, Mugman and Cuphead are having a blindfolded pillow fight because they're dumb kids and they do shit like that. And during it, Mugman ends up losing his handle. It breaks off. So they're freaking out, trying to get it fixed. They're trying everything they can think of, all these different things to try and stick it back on, from spit to tape to honey. And of course, they finally think of glue, but they need to get more glue. They go to the shop, which that's something from the game, so I do like that. And the shopkeeper is going to sell them some glue, probably overpriced, because it's been made very clear. It's like, oh, you'll pay anything? Well, I'm definitely going to overcharge you. But yeah, but he ends up not having any more, and apparently isn't going to get restocked for 3 months, which, by the way, is it just honestly kind of a stupid, like, length of time for that. Like, I get that it's just this small self-run shop in the middle of nowhere, but it's still like you don't restock for like 3 months. That's ridiculous, especially on something as practical and useful and just normal as glue. It's not like it's some kind of special object. But they end up going home, and Elder Mug tells them, or Elder Kettle tells them that apparently it's like a baby tooth situation in real life. It's like, oh, you lost your baby handle? Well, put it under your pillow. The handle fairy will give you a new handle. It's kind of like the same idea as like, oh, you lost your baby tooth, put it under the pillow, you'll find some money. Except in this one, you're getting like a new handle instead of, just money. Like in real life, you don't just grow a new tooth that fast. And it's eventually revealed that, obviously, just like the tooth fairy in real life, it is just a thing that the parents do. Apparently, he just glued their handles back on. The episode was like, the idea isn't terrible, but the execution is just lacking. Nothing is outright bad about it. Nothing is actually bad or unenjoyable or anything, but nothing really hits that sweet spot either. Nothing really gets to the super enjoyable level that the first episode was. It's like I'm just kind of like watching it. it's just like I'm just watching it. I'm not like enjoying it necessarily. I'm not super entertained. I'm just watching it. It's like just kind of like this generic view on it. It just didn't do much for me. And then we got to episode 5, and that's where once again we found the plot. We get introduced to King Dice, voiced by the comedian Wayne Brady, known for stuff like Whose Line Is It Anyway and various movies and stuff. And so we get King Dice, and he hosts this game show where pretty much everyone wins. In fact, he's never had a loser. Cuphead and Mugman are chasing Elder Kettle's lucky tire and end up accidentally getting involved. Cuphead is chosen to participate, and while he's up there, King Dice realizes who he is, calls the devil during a commercial break, and they decide to, capture him, because that's the plan anyway. Unfortunately, Cuphead's kind of inept, and everything he's doing is either just wasting time or, he's just stupid. Granted, I can't say much because when they were doing the Name That Song thing and it was Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, my first thought was Mary Had a Little Lamb, so I can't say anything. I'm kind of stupid myself, it seems. I mean, they kind of have a similar tune to them, thinking about it. Like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and Mary Had a Little Lamb. It's kind of similar. It's not the same, it's just similar. So I think that's what threw me off about it. I don't know, I'm just dumb. But yeah. So, again, Cuphead's just being a nuisance. He's making everything not work. And then he ends up actually losing by breaking the dice, which normally it shouldn't be possible. And so, at first, he's going to go to the prize room anyway, which is where you get your soul sucked out. But the crowd turns against King Dice, and it's like, no, he lost. He shouldn't get a prize. This is rigged. And Cuphead's like, rigged? Well, I'm out of here then. I have my standards. And he and Mugman leave, and the tire ends up rolling them out, and King Dice gets in trouble and demoted. So, yeah, this was an important episode, and unfortunately, the only one I can really say was good since the first. And that's really disappointing to me. Because it's like, this series has so much potential that I just feel it's wasting. Because it's so determined to use these tropey ideas that it's like, okay, this is based off of Fleischer cartoons and shit, so let's just remake Fleischer cartoons. Instead of, doing original stuff and being exciting and new. We're just going to remake old Fleischer cartoons instead. That's kind of what it feels like a lot of the time with with the episodes I didn't like. Especially episode 2. And it's just like, you're better than this, right? I really hope that as we head into the second half of the series, more or less, I mean, second half would technically be starting on episode 7, but as we move into the rest of this, I hope it keeps to the good stuff. Because this first half, for the most part, again, not counting next episode, has been honestly overall weak. I mean, 2 out of 5 episodes being good is not a great look. And again, it's just my opinion, mind you. It's all subjective and everything, but it's just my opinion. Either way, we are going to move into doing multiple episodes starting next week. probably 2 to 3 a week. And we'll kind of go from there and see where it takes us, and just handle it from there. So next week will probably end up being 6 and 7, maybe 8 as well. I could probably finish this in 2 more goes. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It just depends on how much time I have as well, based on other things. We'll see. Because I have a lot of stuff to record each week. But in the meantime, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode? These 2 episodes, actually. Let me know down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.